think you've got the world's smallest backpack. There's only one thing smaller than that backpack, and that's me. Me and Tom Cruise. So hello and good morning and welcome to Colorado. It's not Colorado, it's the Malvern Hills, of course. But probably since we've lived in this area, I don't think it's actually snowed for, I reckon on one hand we can count the times. I think 3 times it's snowed. We don't get snow in this country very often, especially at the Malvern Hills. What's that?
Looks like backwards feet, like maybe backwards feet.
It's something that's hopped, isn't it? Oh, it's a rabbit. Yeah. Detective work already from DCI Kid and Maguire. Maguire Kid. No, it's not a very good, it's not a pithy sounding detective show, is it? As I said, I've got up nice and early to explore the hills because we don't get snow on the hills at all, ever anymore. So we're making the most of what we've got. And last week I said my video that I did about the world's worst camera, check that out if you haven't seen it. I did say that was the last video of the year, but this is the last video of the year. Has to be. Got to finish on a strong note. Hopefully we'll get some good photos. Please fall over. If there's one day in the year to fall over, it'd be today. Because you should have a nice padded landing. And that's not because of the extra turkey. Right, so I'm shooting small today. What I mean by that is I've brought, obviously we're filming everything on the Osmo, and I've brought my 6400 out. And anyone that's shot with an A6400 knows just what a pocket rocket this thing is. I've got actually Laura's old lens on, which is the 50mm 1.8, because up on the hill up there, there's a tree, and I've never actually taken a photograph of this, and it stands on its own, sort of looks over the reservoir, which we can't see. But instead of looking that way, I'm going to look up at it. I'm going to have to turn autofocus off because it can't focus in the snow. Just got to remember how to do it. There we go, manual focus. And I forgot how good the focus peaking on Sony is. Cool. So what else we can get? So when it comes to taking photographs in snow, my top tip, and I guess you can only really learn this by doing it because it sounds silly, but try and underexpose by at least a stop or half a stop, because what you're basically dealing with, if you shoot in a, let's just say you're shooting in colour, in black and white, sorry, what you're basically shooting are your shadows, because the whole scene is very bright, and that's what the camera sees. Remember, the camera doesn't really have a brain. You can override it, and what it wants to do is expose everything, what it thinks is properly exposed. But the trick is, if you underexpose, then what you can really do is bring out your shadows. And if you expose it what it thinks is correctly exposed, what you might end up with is blown out whites. And if you blow your highlights, it's game over. So just try and just stop that aperture down a little bit, or maybe speed that shutter speed up, or drop the ISO, whatever you prefer. But if you can just underexpose by a stop, you can bring it all back in Lightroom. So that would be my top tip. The cold's getting to me. The cold has reached my special places.
You're right there, you're struggling.
Struggling with just basic sentences.
Words.
Right, let's keep looking for stuff. Enjoying this so far?
So pretty.
Really cool, isn't it? We're getting some McFlurries now as well. So what I'm really hoping to get as well is a portrait of Laura with a flurry of snow, because I think that would look really cool. So that would be something that I want to try and capture before we go home. In fact, I never want to go home. As long as it looks like this, we're staying out. Is that okay?
I've got really cold feet.
That's brilliant. That's not an answer. Let me just really quickly explain to camera what I'm doing. So I'm taking a Hello. So what I'm doing exactly the same with the portrait. So I'm underexposing with my aperture a little bit more than I'd like to, because I'd normally like to shoot portraits at 1.8 and even smaller than that, even wider than that. But I'm shooting this at f2.8 and I'm just adjusting my shutter speed until I get one stop underneath, and then I can take it from there, because I don't want a super blown out photo. So, are you ready? She's not ready. I'm going to get the trees behind you actually, because there's a bit more darkness. That looks cool. Another thing, put your lens hood on. I hate lens hoods apart from in bad weather. It might save your lens. You ready?
Yeah.
Smiley or not smiley?
You tell me.
You going to go for a cutesy smiley one? Right, let's cancel that tracking. Autofocus on. Human eye detection is what we want. Here we go. Nice. Right, I'm going to show you on the actual camera what we're going to do. So we're currently at 1.8, which is a bit bright, I think. So let's go down to 2.8. That's 2.8, and I think it's darker than I'd like, but that's what we're going to shoot. So I'm going to shoot exactly that shot. So that is underexposed, and that's what we want. So we've got a few portraits, which is really cool, because I wanted to... You kind of want evidence that this has actually happened, so to have another photographer with you is really, really helpful to get photographs and document this actually happening. There's not a hell of a lot of views to shoot, so that leaves us really with shapes and trees and distant people and stuff. I've just taken a couple of shots of a few fell runners, which looks quite cool. Yeah, they're as way crazy than us. They're doing a couple of mile run today. So yeah, let's just shoot a few more trees, and I guess let's probably call it a day. Then we can get back and get in the warmth. But to be honest, I never do want to go home because this is so magical.
It is very pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's literally like we're in Narnia.
Well, do you know Narnia is...
Whoa!
I've got to film this.
I keep slipping.
I will have to fact check this, but is it T.S. Eliot or C.S. Lewis that wrote Narnia? Chronicles of Narnia.
I'm not very good at...
It's said that the Malvern Hills really heavily inspired whichever writer it was. I think it was Lewis that wrote it. C.S. Lewis. No. That Narnia is the lamps, the Victorian lamps that are in Malvern. We'll continue this discussion off camera. But yeah, they did it. They did inspire the visual, the vision of Narnia. So it is quite Narnian, I guess you could say. Yeah. I wish Malvern looked like this every day. Oh yeah, sorry. No, you carry on.
You go.
You're welcome. This is called the Hermit's Cave, or Clutter's Cave, and there's a legend that some sort of hermit used to live in this cave. So that's exactly why we're putting Laura in it. Now what I want to do is I'm going to shoot a portrait of Laura stood in the doorway of the cave, and what I want to try and do is I want to get the drag of the falling snow, because sometimes if you shoot too quickly, i.e. 500th of a second or whatever, you just don't get those droplets of snow. So I've slowed it right down to a 50th of a second, and I might even drop it lower, and obviously compensated with aperture and ISO. ISO is 100, aperture is about f6, 6.3. And I'm just going to play around with it until I get those strands, shards of snow falling, because I think that'll look quite cool. Ready for your shot? You look like it's your first day at camera school with your camera around your neck. Got ya! First day at camera school, completed it. What are you doing?
really cold.
Do you want to give him the tour of the cave?
Give him the tour of the cave. Here's the cave. So, I mean,
Watch out for the bat!
don't, because there was a bat in here once.
Oh my god, I just want to...
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it just looks pitch black in here. I'm not really giving them much of a tour.
Is that a good tour?
That was brilliant.
Should we go?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the most annoying things about a mirrorless camera, and you probably know exactly how this feels if you've shot in weather like this. You can look obviously through the viewfinder or live view, and majority of us will just keep it to sensor activated. But as soon as you get any snowfall or rain on your sensor, you think, oh my god, my camera's broken. Literally, my camera's broken, what's going on? But all that's happened is a little bit of snow, oops, has just fallen into the sensor. So every 3 seconds, you've got to keep giving that little eyepiece and that little bit of clean, and it's a little bit frustrating. So you normally end up just using the IVF, the EVF. IVF is something completely different, isn't it? IVF?
Yeah.
What's IVF?
For babies.
Is that the baby thing? Yeah. So to get home, I'm dragging us up and over British camp. One of us is not happy with that decision. Can you guess who? So Laura's nipped back to the car and I've just stayed out for a little longer, and I've just come down to a sort of secluded woodland not too far from where we've been this morning. I've managed to take a couple of shots of some trees obviously, and everything just looks magical right now. Everything just looks amazing. We even got really lucky with a robin landing, a very inquisitive robin landing. He almost landed on my hand. I was trying to get him to come on to land on me, but almost, but he didn't. He landed all around us, being very territorial. So I might have got a really Christmassy photograph there, which I'm already looking forward to editing, because I think that might look really nice. And yeah, so my main point, I can give you all the tips and tricks. Any photographer can give you all the tips and tricks in the world to shoot in snow and how to nail the perfect exposure, and 7 tips for great snow photography. But the main one is, if it snows, get out in it. Just shoot, make some mistakes, work out what works, what doesn't, and just cross that bridge when you get to it. If the best way to learn is just to get out in the conditions, and we don't get snow very often. And I read something the other day which is quite alarming, that was because of climate change, by I think 2080, so in 60 years time, there might not be any snow in the UK anymore, apart from in the Northern Highlands of Scotland. So our grandchildren's children might not know what snow is unless they go to the Scottish Highlands. So this will be a great conversation piece for them. And you'll be saying, remember when we used to get these amazing winters in Malvern? Well, we're getting fewer and far between these years. But anyway, I don't want to get bogged down talking about that. But get out if you see it snowing. Get out in the snow, have some fun, get your camera out and just play. Just try some ideas out. And that's the fun of photography, isn't it? Just playing. So on that note, I think it's time to finish this vlog. Thanks for watching if you've made it this far, and I'll see you on the next one, whatever that may be about. Merry Christmas. And Malvern is just looks so romantic right now, and I hope it looks like this where you are at the moment. So Happy New Year, or whatever time you're watching this, and I wish you snow and I wish you wintry conditions. See you soon.